Graham from OptimalBody.ca. Today I'll be answering the question, what is the FTO gene? The FTO gene is often referred to as the overweight or obese gene. It's one of the genes that they have linked up with being related to increasing your risk of being obese. Before I explain a bit more about the FTO gene, I think it's really important to understand that this gene will not make you obese. It simply increases your risk of being obese. Also, I think it's really important to understand that even just looking at genetic predisposition to being obese, they've studied, and I think the last I'd seen, there are up to 50 different genes they've seen relate to obesity. So it's, again, not even just this one factor when it comes to genetics and obesity. How does this FTO gene potentially increase someone's risk of being obese? They're not entirely sure. So far, the theories are is that it actually impacts your ability to control how much food you eat. So there's theories out there that this gene impacts your brain's impulse control centers. So if the impulse control centers are not as active, then it makes it easier to overeat on food. A lot of times people think that a slower metabolism is a lot of the genetic factors in terms of why someone's struggling with weight loss. But most of the things that I've seen out there tend to relate to struggles with regulating how much food to eat, as well as genes impacting the regulation of physical activity. From a practical standpoint, I think it's important not to get too caught up in the FTO gene and worrying about if your genetics are hurting you or if they're not. I would strongly recommend focusing in on the things that you have control over instead of focusing on the things that you do not have very much control over. So looking towards how you can change your environment to help, or how to change your habits and actually focusing on how to make those changes easier. For example, if you're having less control over impulses with your brain and there's a genetic predisposition to this, you can start to change things within your environment. You can start to change things in terms of your day-to-day life and your habits that will actually make it easier for the impulse control centers of your brain. There you go. You have a little bit more knowledge about the FTO gene and how that impacts obesity.